And we're live.
We're live.
This is 60 Minutes with Ed Bradley. Did you ever watch 60 Minutes and how they started the show?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The tick, tick,
Yeah?
tick.
I always wanted to do a show like that, but too bad I'm not going to. Welcome to Doha podcast on another Saturday. We got a guest with us today, as the usual, to share with us the experience, the knowledge, and also the weekly hassle we go through in existence. Nadia, what's up?
Well, we're going to be talking about a lot of deep stuff today.
Very deep stuff. We're also going to talk about Drake singing in Spanish.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
I have not seen it.
Featuring Bad Bunny.
Who is that?
His name is actually Bad Bunny, and the
You
track is called
Bad Bunny.
Yeah, you're a Bad Bunny. I was like, why would you name yourself Bad Bunny? When I heard it, I was like, who's singing this? And then everyone was like, we didn't know Drake sings in Spanish. And he had like the Puerto Rican look with the shirt open.
Wow.
And he's like, Mia, Mia. And it was like,
Will Smith is back. Will Smith is back also.
Will Smith is back? Oh, God.
I was literally watching Will Smith's, what's it called? His inspirational videos.
Videos?
Yeah, like, where he says, you can do it and you can run. And I was doing it while working out,
I hate it when they do that, don't you? Celebrities. I mean, you got like multi-billions in your bank. That's why you're so positive.
He was talking about like when he was going to jump out of a plane.
Yeah.
And him and his friends, they came up with this idea to like jump out of a plane, and then when, they were so excited, like, let's jump out of a plane. And like when he went to bed the night before, he was like, why did I do that? And then, he couldn't eat breakfast in the morning, and, he was like nervous, and then he was waiting for one of the friends to back out. And then as they were about to jump out of the plane, the guy says, on three. 1, 2, and then
He just jumped?
they just throw him out, right? And he's like, of course they do it on 2, because if they do it on 3, you're gonna hold back.
You can't do it on 3. You definitely hold back. I had a couple of friends that went skydiving once, and it was not a pleasant experience. Have you ever tried it?
I don't want to face death from
Really?
high up.
Whoever made the 100 challenges you should ever do? Go to safari in Kenya, skydive, and what's the one? Swimming with sharks.
I'm good.
None of those.
No.
None of those, huh? Well, you know what? Before we get to that, it's a great weekend. I tried spicy mango today. And
Spicy mango.
Spicy mango. Have you tried a spicy mango juice?
Does it have a hot sauce on it?
Technically, it actually had a hot sauce in it, and it was like the weird combination.
Oh, it's a juice, yeah.
I'm not going to tell you the results, but
Okay.
you can always guess, whenever you have these combinations. I've been following you for a while, and I've noticed that you and me share similar, like, qualities. I don't know if they're qualities or not, but like similar kind of like personal. What's the word? Can you say it?
So that thing, it's like, what's that
Yeah?
thing? I don't know.
No, you don't know? However, I've been watching and I was like, she's actually in the point. Like, she does not fake the fact that she's having a good day. Most people that I follow on social media, they only like show you the bright day.
Yeah.
But then if you walk in and someone piss you off, people are like, look at this idiot. He's doing this. He's pissing me off. That's something I always do. And I was like, you know what? Nadia's a real one. That's why, where do you get that realness from? Has you been like this ever since?
I've always been like this.
Yeah.
Some people think I'm too real.
Nothing wrong with being too real, though.
Yeah.
We need that in reality, right?
Yeah. Why do we have to live in a fake world?
Of course.
Yeah.
Everything has to be all smiley wily all the time. And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be always negative also, but, just the realism of it.
Yeah.
I remember I was gonna tell that to people, but then they always accuse me of being too much of a complainer and a negative person. I told them, no, I'm just being a realist. There's a nicer word to say it,
I'm a realist.
I'm a realist. I'm a realist. So, we actually did a voting about chronic diseases, by the way. 35% of the people didn't know what a chronic disease is, even though Ahmed told me everybody knows what a chronic disease is, and I was like, no.
Absolutely not.
And the majority who didn't know what a chronic disease were actually Arabs.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually familiar with Arabs.
Yeah.
With the history of chronic diseases, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you can shed some light on that.
Well, a chronic disease is something that a chronic means like it's something that you constantly have, like it doesn't go, like it can go and come, but like you always have it. So it's something that you always have to deal with, and disease is disease. Like
is it actually a disease or a condition or an illness?
Well,
Because
like,
you know sometimes you use these words and then people feel like you're such an idiot. You don't know the difference between a disease and a condition. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just.
well, like, I think, like, it's I feel like it's something personal.
Okay.
So, like, I suffer from, a condition called chronic fatigue syndrome. It's called chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS.
Okay.
And then I suffer from another condition called fibromyalgia.
Okay.
And
So they're two in one, or like both of them are different in one day?
well, I was diagnosed with both of them, but fibromyalgia, one of the symptoms of fibromyalgia is chronic fatigue.
Okay.
But I think, like, they diagnosed me with both of them for it's like there's many reasons, like, I was diagnosed with both, but like because I do get bedridden. Like, there are days when I can't get out of bed, and I'm very, very tired, and I'm fatigued, and like, people will try to talk to me, and I really, really
Do
can't.
you get moody?
I do get very irritable because, like, because not to compliment myself, but I am.
No, it's all right. On our podcast, we like to share focus on our self-development.
Like, I think I'm a pretty bright person. So when my brain doesn't, I think so.
Come on.
So bright as the lights.
Yeah.
So, but like when, like, if someone, like, and because I, can, give information, I'm pretty knowledgeable. When my brain doesn't function the same anymore, I get very irritable. Like, because I can't, like, register. You could be like, how are you? And I'm like, what is he saying? How can I respond? Like, and I get irritable about it because I can't respond. And yeah, there you go. That's your answer. I am irritable. I'm a girl.
Well, that adds up to it. Actually. I've actually had a little chat with my friend of mine. When I told him I'm gonna have Nadia in the story about fibromyalgia, and I called him up. I was like, "Hey, can I buy you coffee?" He's always a busy man, but then whenever you throw like some sort of a fancy restaurant or like a place, they always feel like they can join. And I was like, "Hey, Doc, you wanna go to W?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, let's go." I kind of tricked him to come there, and when we sat down, and I was like, "What do you know about fibromyalgia?" He's like, "Why are you asking me this question? Shaheen is interested in biology." I was like, I failed it when I was 16. Never took interest in it ever since. I'm technically biologically, what's the word, unknowledgeable. But then he's like, you? Because me and him, we went to school
I think
together.
you're knowledgeable.
Biology-wise, I don't know. I hated my teacher, and ever since then, I just never did it. But he told me it's actually a broad condition. Like, you could face a lot of symptoms of a lot of things, and it's very hard to deal with this on a daily basis.
It's very, very difficult.
I was actually like putting myself, in your shoes. I'm just wondering, how did you manage to deal with it on a daily basis? Like, what's the motivation like?
It's not easy, like, because there's so many different symptoms that I have. Like, I have irritable bowel syndrome, which is I face a lot of digestion issues when I eat food. So, and because of that, like, I did, for example, like, this is one of the many symptoms. So with this, like, I did a food intolerance test, and I found out that I'm intolerant to a lot of foods. So I'm intolerant to, like, specific. I'm intolerant basically to dairy. Like, if I show you the list, it's like.
By the way, intolerant is different to allergic, right?
Yeah, it is different because, like, when you're allergic, like, you can get a hives on your body, like rashes on your body. You can stop breathing. It's like immediate. But when you're intolerant, it can come after periods. Like, you can have migraines maybe after a few hours. You can, like, have your stomach expand. You can have, like, maybe problems going to the bathroom. And you wouldn't know, like, because it doesn't happen instantly. Like, you wouldn't know, like, what did I eat? Like, you could like, it could even happen 24 hours later.
Especially with food nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
I had like orange in my salad that day. I was like, what do you put oranges in your salad for? And they were like oranges, cranberry, and then tomato. It was like a million bazillion thing in the salad.
Yeah.
I liked it, but then I was like, what if I actually have an allergic reaction to it? But then a lot of people, it's actually not a very common thing in the Middle East, where we don't really pay attention to food allergies. We don't also do, food allergy tests or stuff like that. Like, you can grow up your whole life and you're shoving your face in cheese every day, but you don't know you're actually intolerant to cheese. I can know what in my stomach, I don't know.
Exactly. And we eat a lot of cheese.
A lot of cheese. And
I love cheese.
But it's not really about cheese on the podcast. It's just more about, the food. So, it's actually a very cultural thing that we don't focus on actual food tests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Were you encouraged to do it by, family members or someone? Or
I wasn't. I was just like really intrigued when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And like I didn't know what it was because I had so many different symptoms. And it was basically like, basically when I was like diagnosed with it, because like one day I'd be like, I have a migraine, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, my neck hurts, I can't move my neck, I can't move my arm. Like every day was something else. And it was basically like all these symptoms, it's like, this is a definition for all these symptoms that you have. Like,
Yeah.
so when I was diagnosed, it was kind of, I remember like going into the car and I kind of like was relieved, but at the same time I burst out crying because they told me,
There's no cure.
there's no cure. You have to live with this. We don't know what causes it. We don't really know much about it. You just have to live with it.
Yeah.
And like that's a very hard thing to deal with, and it's like a harsh reality to face. And I remember like one of the doctors said to me, he's like, I'd rather like tell people, diagnose people with cancer because at least cancer can be cured, and then rather than diagnose them with fibromyalgia because there's no cure to fibromyalgia.
Don't you think that was a very negative thing for him to say?
Of course.
Yeah.
But like
you're making my condition worse than people who have cancer. I mean, like,
yeah, it's not. It's like it's
get
not
pissed.
worse. It's not something like I can die from.
Yeah.
But it can get very difficult to live with.
Sometimes it's not really the things that are going to kill you. It's the things
Yeah.
that actually you're going to have to live with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I had a friend back in the day who got paralyzed, and the pain of being paralyzed for him was worse because you're gonna have to live with the idea that your lower body doesn't work anymore, and then you're gonna adapt to a new life. But then yet again, I don't know. It's very strong to actually go through things. You see the motivation that most people go through them.
Yeah.
And somehow to push you to get out of bed every day and then continue your life on a very normal day. I mean, looking at you, you seem like you're very picking it up on a normal day.
Well, you have a choice of what you have to make. In the beginning, like I kind of like, I wasn't doing anything, not getting out of bed and whatever. And I just like picked myself up and I said, it's in my hands. Like I have the choice of either choosing to accept it and make the best out of every day that I can and learn to listen to my body when a bad day is a bad day. I have to kind of like listen to what my body's saying. Or I can like release myself to it and then like let it overtake me. And I was like, I'm not gonna let it overtake me. I'm just gonna like learn to live with it, side by side, holding hands.
That's very challenging. Like thinking about it for myself, I would very, I'd be, because sometimes I was intolerant to heat, and then my skin color was trying to change for a while.
Which happens when you tan.
True. And I actually used to over tan. You gotta blame Kareem for this one. But I was like, hey, you want to come to the beach?
Yeah, he loves tanning.
I'm like, every weekend he's like, you want to come to the beach? I'm like, hey, what did you do anything else beside the beach? He's like, come to the beach. And then after a while, I started seeing my color changing in a very weird way. And I was like, yo, what's happening? Then when I went to a dermatologist, he's like, yeah, you're suffering from, your allergic reaction towards this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's like, well, you can't really be in humidity all the time. So.
I think my dad is allergic to the sun.
Yeah, not the sun, but humidity itself. Like, it's more...
Is that it?
Yeah, like very tropical places, very humid, very stuff like that. And then it was funny for me that I actually went to a tropical trip afterwards. However, he's like, this condition, it only takes a while for you to... you have to use the medication for a while, and there's a chance it could come back if you're your access to a very humid spot and stuff like that. So you're just gonna have to watch the temperature. It pissed me off for a while, and I was like, oh, my skin color is changing, and I don't like it, and I feel very insecure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the kind of guy that wears shorts most of the
Yeah.
time, like technically, showing my skin half the time.
Yeah.
And I felt very irritated. But then after a while, I was like, you know what? Whatever. If you're gonna keep bugging about it, you're just gonna go mental most of the time.
Yeah.
The only way that I dealt with it was actually just conversating with people, telling them the story, and then I ran into a person who actually had the same issue with me. He's like, when I went to South Africa and I lived there for a while, I had the same issue, and then I had to use this shampoo and stuff like that. And it felt great to, you feel like you meet someone that went to the same university as you. You're like, really? Who was your doctor? You know what I mean? You ever have those conversations? I don't think you've ever ran into some of them that has.
I didn't meet, no.
It's not very common in the Middle East.
Fibromyalgia, actually, like I remember telling this guy about my condition, and then he's like, oh, I know it. I was like, how do you know it? He's like, my cousin has it.
Really?
I was like, how did you find out your cousin has it? He's like, I just one day put my hand on her shoulder and she was like, ah.
Everybody does that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he asked her, like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, that hurts. I have fibromyalgia. And he's like, you guys should speak. So I did. I spoke to her. And
Isn't it kind of funny the way, in a weird way, for it to be discovered? You know what I mean?
yeah, I was just like,
So,
yeah.
hit him on the shoulder and I forget he was in pain. Then I call him and connect them together. It's like, it's,
That's literally like,
that's a weird way to have it if you're a weird way to look at it. But, it
Yeah.
happens in the best way.
Yeah.
You've been in touch ever since? You communicated?
I did. I like just spoke to her like that one time because I wanted to understand what I was dealing with.
Yeah.
I am on some support groups online because I wanted to see what people are dealing with, like how they deal with it and stuff. But that's about it. I feel like for every person, it's like they deal with it in their own way. But it's like I see people. It's like it kind of overtakes them, like
Yeah.
it
In
psychologically.
the support group?
Yeah, like it just seems like they usually say, like, for example, their spouses don't support them because their spouses don't understand what they're going through. They just tell them, like, get up, you're being lazy, you need to
Yeah.
get a job, and they don't understand what they're going through. But I think like
Male figures or...
it's you like so it's mainly females that have fibromyalgia. I
Okay.
think like it's about 80%, 85%
females, huh?
of females that have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. It's maybe because men don't complain as much as women about pain. I'm assuming, I don't know.
Not in 2018.
Oh, I see someone is getting pointed at.
Not in 2018. We should have seen our episode with G. Valentino. What is it like to be a man? We were the best complainers ever. I have to admit, that episode is still sung in my head, and we're definitely going to do another one.
I think we need to create a complaining group then.
Really?
Yes.
Do you believe in that?
A group to complain?
Yeah.
Be awesome.
Sometimes I invite people for coffee just so we can complain about it. He doesn't like to go out with me. He assumes that I'm very critical. If you're a complainer, we'll get in touch after the show.
Yeah.
But so the support group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically like, it just shows like how like it overtakes them, in a psychological sense, and like it's very unfortunate. Like there's a lot of people that commit suicide because it's a very dark thing to talk about, but like because they can't deal with it, and it's also I think because they're not getting the proper support from the people around them.
Yeah.
And I think like I've been lucky because
You got a supportive circle?
I have a very supportive circle, and like nobody around me understood it, and I mean I didn't even understand it myself, and I'm the one who's dealing with it. So, but it took a long time for the people around me to understand it, but they're very supportive, and I think that's
Family or friends or both?
both, and I think that's very important.
Do you feel sometimes like I don't know, people are within the condition? If you're like in a better mood, if you're like happier or like in a better spot, does the symptoms, do they fade away a little bit? Or because if they focus on it, don't you feel like somehow the mental stress adds up more to it?
I mean, like you can never get used to pain.
Yeah.
It's not something like you can just get used to. So it's not like I'm gonna like if my if you have a burn mark, it's not like you can be like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore it and I'm not gonna feel it. It's there. You know what I mean? So it's not like I would focus on the pain. It's just there, and I can't do anything about it. I can try to do other things and deal with the pain while it's there, but like it depends on the level of pain on that day. So like it's kind of the opposite. It's like if the pain is very bad on that day, then like it affects you psychologically, and it makes you feel like, oh, I can't do anything today. I wanted to do all these things.
Does it show in your face?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And like my dad noticed this, so I went to India to get some like alternative treatments with my dad.
Yeah.
And the first day I was there, like I was feeling fine, and then I started to feel really, really sick the next few days, and I told him, look at my face, and he didn't like notice the difference. But then in the last 2 days I started to feel good again. He's like, wow, he's like, you look like 10 years younger. I was like, yeah, like literally my face starts to like change in age. Like,
was it the mood? Was it the medicine? What was it?
It's not the medicine. It's just like when my body hurts, I don't know what happens. Like when my body hurts, like my face just like starts to look older, and when I feel good, like.
Tracing fibromyalgia from the topic, most of people, hello. Don't you just, sometimes people write random stuff on the chat and they just say hello, you know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to say to that? Okay.
Hey!
Yeah, hey, it's easy. Hello, you know what I mean? So tracing the topic about fibromyalgia, some people, most of the common answers that I've got, because sometimes I like to do my little research, a little greeting on a little geeky moment before. That's why we have this little week span. People assume like, why don't you have more than episodes than once a week? And I'll be like, I need to research my topics. You know what I mean? I'm not Mr. Know-it-all. I need to do my little research. And most people said it actually is related to, it's like inherited, throughout Caucasian bloodlines, European bloodlines. I think you're half.
Yes, I am.
You're half British, half local, right?
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like, yep.
No, I'm waiting for what you're going to say next. Or,
okay.
or was that an opening?
I'm waiting for like an agreement, like, yes, I am. But, and somehow, don't you feel like it's actually very, like, what's the reason I don't know, Yani? It's got somehow creation that each race have their own biological issues sometimes,
Well, there are theories like there like what you like. I never read that, and like it was the first time I've heard about it today. But they're all just theories. Like one of the things is like it's inherited, and one of the things I mentioned earlier was my grandmother used to get like massages every day, and she used to like complain about body pain. So I'm like wondering like did I inherit it from my grandmother?
Yeah.
And from my dad's side, but then again you read it's like
European.
Yep.
Yeah, but then your dad is Qatari.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, there's all these different theories but nobody really knows what causes it. I think, like, if they know what causes it, then they'll be able to find a cure.
It's so weird, just looking into, like, bloodlines and then somehow maybe it's a theory, maybe it's not. Because Ahmed was telling me also it's, we were talking about it before you came, and he said, no, like, some blood, family members, which are Armenian or European or stuff like that, they have the same thing. And I was like wondering sometimes if you trace your DNA, like you'd find you belong to like parts of the world that you just never thought that you could be part of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm very intrigued. Like I bought a DNA test like a year ago. I never did it. It's in my car.
How is it? What do you mean it's in your car? Is it the thing that you do with like
Yep.
How do you do it? Is it like a cotton piece or something?
It's like a swab. So you put the swab in your mouth, put your saliva and the thing, and then you deliver it. Oops.
It's alright. It happens.
Yeah.
And what? It shows up like what 30 days afterwards?
I have no idea. I need to do it.
What do you think you're gonna be half what? Like.
Well, I know I'm half English, half Arab.
No. Like name all the three races you think you'd be from.
Well, okay, so I know more about what I am. So I know my dad's half Qatari, half Bahraini.
Okay.
And my mom is half American, half British.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just one, but with my mom it was funny though. Like just one day I was like, so your dad's actually American? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I was like, this lady added me on Facebook and she looks like you. Is that your like sister? She's like, yeah, don't talk to her. I was like, what?
Why not?
I don't know. It's like, she had like a half sister from her dad and she never even mentioned her. I was like, okay, I know all my 12 aunties and uncles from my dad's side, and like there's people I don't even know from your side.
That's what happens when you're so mixed, you don't even know where you belong to.
Exactly.
I'm wondering what Kiko belongs to. Yeah, Kiko's Egyptian, but there's some mix in here, I know it. You know what I mean? A friend of mine called me up on a random day, and he's like, by the way, I have the DNA test in my car if you ever want to do it. And I was like half asleep. I was like, what is this random phone call that you tell me I have a DNA test? And I was, what are you doing with DNA test anyways? He's like, I just want to figure out where I'm from. And he had like 10% Bangladeshi, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was
did
shocked.
he expect it, or?
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I'm still tracing it. I'm trying to figure out who's the Bangladeshi. You know what I mean?
He's like, Dad, Mom, there's something we need to talk about.
Yeah, we need to figure out it. He's like 30%. I've actually seen a couple of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And most of the people with the DNA test, and they were like shocked. And some of them were actually racist towards the parts they're from.
Yes, I watched it.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. You know what I mean? He's like, my parents were racist against black people. Then he realized that 30% of him was black. You know what I mean? It's like that Dave Chappelle thing when he pulled off his face in the KKK. You know, he was like, and he turned out to be black. Have you seen that one?
Oh my God, yeah. I did
that was one of my favorite episodes.
You know, actually, you can be part of the KKK. You can be black and be part of the KKK. Did you know that?
Unless you're the Kim Kardashians. Yeah, sure, why not? Ever heard that joke?
No,
They said the only triple K that will lay you in the family are the Kardashians. You know what I mean? Other than that, no, I don't think so. Speaking of that, have you seen what Kanye West has been doing?
Trump.
Oh
Trump?
my
Have you seen
God!
that? Have you
I
been
saw
following
the
it?
video today of him meeting with Trump.
What's
It's
up with
like,
Kanye, man? People are saying he's actually mental.
For president.
He apparently
Really?
told him he told Donald Trump that he was bipolar. I'm like, literally, you're sitting with him and saying, "Oh, I'm bipolar." Like, why are you saying this to him?
And why did he gained like so much weight and he just became very mental and he's been wearing that hat, "Make America Great Again." And I'm not going to talk about Trump like last time, but I'm just saying. Like, it's crazy, really. And most of like black celebrities or people, African Americans are actually being upset towards what he's doing.
Yeah,
Because they feel
100%. Like, I was thinking about that. I was like, he's insulting. Like, he's insulting black people, first of all,
Yeah.
because, like, Trump is racist.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is he doing?
Sometimes I feel like it's a propaganda that he wants to get into the political scene and he wants to be a part of like, the political environment because he wants to run for election. Can you believe that actually maybe one day Kanye West would be the president of America?
Easy.
I will slit my wrists.
Like that it's just chaos what's happening in the world.
If you're not wearing a Yeezy, you're dead.
Yeah, definitely you're dead. And he's probably going to make it $5,000, you know what I mean? More than it actually is. But dealing with all this chaos in the world and just trying to maintain a positive energy, especially, I was telling Ahmed today, I was like, I'm not really that positive person. And the only thing that keeps me sane is actually just being, healthy physically.
Mm.
And he was like, you're actually right. Sometimes that's the only positive part. And then I wonder that people are actually going through some stuff, like, such as you were saying, the daily pains, and for you to maintain a positive mindset, that's actually very challenging,
Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult. Like, but the like as I was mentioning earlier, like the Will Smith motivational kind of like speeches.
You're a fan
and
of Will
stuff.
Smith, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it took you a minute.
Him and what's his wife's name? Jada. What's her name? Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jaden Smith, and I was like, isn't that his son? I was like,
Did you see her mother?
No.
She's so fit.
She is so. She has abs.
Really, her mom?
What are you doing? Are you taking a video? Are you
Obviously.
taking pictures?
Yeah, we're gonna smile. Take it out. You need to work on. That time you showed my nose so big. My dad was like, "Why is your nose so big?" And I'm very insecure about my nose. I only like the pointy part of it. That's what I like.
Side profile.
Yeah. Do you ever have like insecurities about sometimes your face?
All the time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a girl.
Oh, come on. Some women are very positive. I've actually a friend of mine. She's like, the way I look with makeup is different than I don't look without makeup.
Oh yeah, we all do.
No, but it's actually both. They look the same. I've seen her. Like one time she went out with me and she didn't have makeup and she actually looked the same. I was like, have you ever run into girls that have the same kind of thing? But if you don't put too much makeup, like heavy makeup, like really light.
If they look the same, if they put makeup and don't put makeup. Yeah. And there's some girls and it's like, what? Are you the same person?
How do you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're going out on a daily basis. Do you go out on a daily basis?
I don't go out on a daily basis due to my illness.
Yeah. Look, how often do you go out?
I don't. What do you mean by going out?
Like, just hang around friends, if you're invited to a birthday or something like that. Does it really affect your daily life, kind of like?
It does. It 100% does.
Do you skip on invites most of the time?
See, like, the thing with me is, like, I can't really, like, commit to things.
Yeah.
And I think the people around me have learned that I can't say, like, I'm going to come 100% to this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just imagining, like, I might even skip on my wedding day. Imagine, where's the bride?
We're going to do it on
She's
Skype.
sick today.
Have you seen the Arab weddings that do it on Skype?
Yeah.
Have you seen those? You live in America and then you want a halal wife, like they say. And you don't want to bother with the dating scene in the American world, So you're like, what? Tell your family to get me a wife.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pay like 6,000 riyal for a ticket, so you just go on Skype.
Yeah.
I've seen those. They're horrible. He's actually sitting on the big screen, wearing a suit, and then she's just sitting on the chair. And he's, and after that, they're like, well, we're sending your wife all the way to America. It's like, what kind of marriage is that? DHL, right? And he wouldn't. Sometimes I always picture they'd be wearing shorts, like just a suit jacket. And
their boxers.
Yeah, like their boxers just sitting like that. It's like that interview with the guy who was like on CNN or something, and he was actually just wearing shorts. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's a famous picture, but I was like, that was like the worst kind of thing ever. But I've actually, even Kareem told me sometimes you really don't feel like you're going out. You skip times and like events and stuff like that. How do you feel about that most of the time?
Like, I feel really bad.
Did it ruin the friendship circle? Did you started losing friends?
I did.
Really?
Yes, I did.
They get offended, don't they?
Some people just don't understand,
I
because
hate those guys.
like, I don't get upset because it's like not everyone is empathetic. Like, how can like you expect everyone to understand what you're going through? And like, some people see me and then they'll see me out, and then like the day before I was like, oh, I was sick, or I can be like, I was sick a few hours ago.
And you
Then
get
like,
weird
I don't get that.
Yeah, you don't?
No, I don't get that. I get.
People are inconsiderate. Sometimes it's...
Yeah, they always tell me like, oh, you're sick, you look fine. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I look fine.
What am I supposed to like look like? You know what I mean?
Like, what do you think? Like a
Your
fire-
clothes ripped off and you're like passing out. You know?
like a zombie.
Yeah, something
like,
like that.
I don't understand like what people expect me to look like. Like, I'm not gonna like look bad when I go out. I'm not gonna go like with like frizzy hair out when I'm gonna try to look my best. Like, that's
Yeah.
the least I can try to do when I go out.
Or, one time I think you told me they even accused you of being, delusional about it.
Yeah, I was told that like maybe it's all my head.
Serious?
Yeah.
How do you react to people like that?
I used to like cry and like get really upset, like why do people think I'm just trying to do this for attention, or like it's all in my
Yeah.
head, or it's this and whatever. But like it's like now I look at it as like it's ignorance. Like not everyone has complete knowledge of everything. Like,
Of course.
everyone just has so much knowledge.
Yeah.
So you just accept things as it is.
And you don't have to throw negative comments like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't understand a situation, you ain't got to react with it in such a different way. Like, you're being delusional. Maybe you look fine, Like,
Yeah.
you got to think of what you're saying most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, like when someone tells me I look fine, I don't think they're trying to be negative. I think they're trying to actually be positive, but they don't realize like
It depends
how-
on the way they say it, though.
Yeah.
Do you focus on that? Like, the way they say it. It's not what they say. You know?
I used to think about it in the beginning a lot
Yeah.
of like, oh, they said like this. Like, I just don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's something I'm dealing with. Like, I don't need to worry about what other people think.
Have you been hearing it recently, or like it's been at the
I hear it all
first
the time.
days? All the time?
All the time.
Yeah. You told me also, despite all this, you told me you got previously you had several businesses. I never knew you were business minded, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I used to have a fitness and health business. I used to have a salon. So when I had
Yeah.
the salon, I got really sick, and my business partner was completely not understanding of what I was going through.
Yeah.
She wanted me to be at the salon all the time, and I just told her like, listen, like, I'm just not feeling well. Like, I can't go.
yeah.
And she would ask me to just be there, and I told
Yeah.
her like I can't. And then like if she'd see me out like the next day, she'll be like, yeah, but you're out. So she wasn't getting it. So I sold my shares to her, and it is what it is. But I still have two businesses. I have an events management company.
Okay.
I have a construction and training company, and those are fine. I don't run them completely. Sorry, I'm feeling just a bit sick right now.
No worries. Take your time. No worries.
I don't run them completely.
Yeah.
I do have business partners, so they understand my condition and they're kind of running it.
Okay. So when you find people that understand, it helps, of course, the
Yes,
business like
100%.
that. Because most people will be like, oh, you're not working, you're not really serious about the business. And when it comes to money, they actually get all sensitive and stuff like that.
100%.
Of course. But I'm actually surprised, seeing how the condition you're telling me, and you're actually, being able to run a business and do it like that.
Hmm.
That's actually very motivational,
Yeah,
You got a lot of healthy people that can't even run a business.
that's true.
No, that's serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So props to you for that, really.
Thank you.
Really, I'm actually glad. By the way, I'm going to practice that thing I told you about. Let's see if it works. Maybe
Let's
we'll
see.
do it on the podcast. Kareem, tell me if you listen to it in the camera and you're enjoying it. No?
Soothing.
Soothing, right? What's that show called? It's like
ASMR.
SMR?
ASMR.
KSMR. It's like basically, it's like this woman who keeps bringing carrots and pickles. And I've seen it on World Star. You know what I mean? And everybody was screaming, World Star! And she's like chewing on the pickles. And somehow she believed that this is the kind of therapy people needs. You know what I mean? But then she's like, if you come to the Arab world, you'd notice that it's not actually a therapy because try to understand, throw a banana at someone and see how they do. And I'm like, no, stop doing that. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
actually killing the vibes
Crazy.
on that. Killing the vibes on that. But, just to push off away from the fibromyalgia, well, we actually want to have a general talk and want to understand, what do you think about the fight with Khabib? And did you see it?
No.
You didn't see it?
No, who is this?
Oh man, this is like the general thing that's kicking in this week.
No, who is this?
It's like Conor McGregor. What's his name?
Oh,
McGregor.
these are the boxers.
Yeah, the boxer.
Oh, yeah.
The what's his name? The Scottish guy. What is he? Irish or something? He's Irish. And he
People
fought
always think I'm Irish, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they're always like, "Are you Irish?" I'm like, "No."
Oh, really? Who will say that?
A lot of people think I'm Irish.
You have to work on the geographic kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Apparently, I have an Irish accent. I don't think it's Irish, but
Okay.
yeah.
But you definitely don't look Irish. Related to that fight, I've actually seen it. It was the first. Just to tell you that I'm not actually a UFC person. That was the first thing that I've ever seen, and it felt so weird.
Why?
Because I was trying to like illegally stream it. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't watch it, and I waited all the way to see it. I was like, "Hey man, what's the link? Can you send the link?" You know what I mean? And everybody on Instagram were like sharing this illegal link. I hope nobody's hearing that. But however, eventually it was like.
What do you mean you hope nobody's hearing that? You want people to listen to the podcast?
I'm just saying. You know, I'm just saying. Maybe someone who's actually going to take actions.
Yeah.
She has nothing to do with it. And the guy actually got pissed because people, you know, the other team, the Irish team, was actually cursing him throughout the whole, you know, commercial kind of ads throughout, you know, like the campaign. They were accusing him because he was Muslim, and you know, he's from Russia, but he's like Muslim, and you know, they were cursing his religion, cursing his faith, and they were trying to insult him in front of like the press by offering him alcohol and stuff like that. And when the fight finished, he actually jumped the cage and he went and attacked like the manager and the other team.
Wow.
And the press went all mental on him. Oh, he should be banned. It's such a, you know, not a right way of acting like a champion. But then everyone was like, if you're getting offended all this time, you're emotionally triggered, isn't this the right thing to do? And I was like, you know what? Sometimes even politics, even culture can actually be shoved in sports in a weird way, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you into sports?
I am, but like if you think about it, it's always like involved in sports, right?
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? And I was like, the one time that I'm trying to escape culture and politics and just, you know, have a really relaxing session watching that, and I realized that it actually has politics in it. And I was like,
Always.
I'm just avoiding that. So I'm never actually going to watch sports again, just to avoid that for a
Yeah.
while, you know? And then I ended up watching a couple of things related to that, and then they were shoving the whole idea, you know, and I was like,
Just
no way.
watch badminton.
What is badminton?
Badminton.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you actually have a channel that
Risha.
watch Risha? She does it again. I told you, sometimes you can never escape the words. You can never escape
Okay, I
the
do.
words. But away from that. However, what do you think like about the podcast? Do you like it?
It's awesome.
Really?
Where do I look like I'm from? See, I have this amazing theory. Amazing theory. Let's see
Yeah.
what people think. This is my theory.
What is your theory?
I think that the person looks like... Okay, this is the map of the world. The person looks like the middle of wherever the two parents are from. Geographically. In the geographic location of wherever the two parents are from.
Yeah.
So, if, like, for example, father's from Qatar, mother's from the UK, where's in the middle? Somewhere would be like, what? Macedonia?
Macedonian.
I think I look Macedonian.
You actually do. I've run into a couple of people from Macedonia. You know what? People actually always trigger me by asking me, why are you light skinned? You know,
Me?
Me. They were like, okay, you're from
Oh.
Sudan, but you're actually light skinned. But then I'm like, why? What's wrong with that? And they're like, no, you're like actually the first person we ever ran into was actually light skinned. But then I told them my great grandfather is actually Turkish. That's how I got the name Shaheen.
Oh, but I know there's some light-skinned Sudanese.
Yeah, but then people act like it's some sort of a mathematical magic thing. They were like, and then they sit there and they're like, you know, it's the first time I've actually met. I was like, what are you gonna take a picture with me now? What are you gonna restore it and tell your grandkids 10 years? I'm like, you know, I've actually ran into this. It's like, I'm like, you're being ignorant, man. Come on, this is a big continent, big country. You know, everybody's colorful. But then tracing that, I've realized that he was actually Turkish and his wife was Egyptian, and then you know the bloodline throughout that.
Wow.
It's how we are. We're very mixed in their world. You know what I mean? And people just somehow it kills the idea of stereotypes. Like, why do you always have to believe in stereotypes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like expand your world, especially in 2018 in social media, and then you're like running into people that look different.
Why does everything have to fit in a box?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. Why does it have to be fitting in a box?
Because sometimes when I tell people where I'm from, they're like, oh, you don't look like you're from there.
Yeah,
I'm like, but what does anyone
looks like.
from anywhere look like
Yeah.
anymore?
like especially if people like, okay, I'm from Qatar, they'll be like, okay, but you're kind of blonde. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're like, they expect you to be blonde. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to put it in a box in some sort of way. And I was actually arguing about that most of the time, that we need to really expand our mindset. And before we jumped into conclusions, we need to understand that the world is actually a big place.
Exactly.
And sometimes some geographical spots fits multiple identities in one. I mean, look at America, right? Like, if you run into a Mexican American and he says I'm American, would you be shocked because he's not white and has blue eyes or something like that? You won't, because it's a very multicultural country. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Globalization.
Globalization, or should we say cosmopolitan? Because some people, when they say globalization, they pretend it's the negative term to explain it. But then if you say cosmopolitan, it's actually the positive term of saying it.
Okay.
That's a new thing, right? Well, you learn stuff on Doha podcast.
Yeah,
from time
there
to
we
time.
go.
You know, it's a very educational trip. Apparently, we got 5 minutes. Well,
That's sad.
I know,
Very fast. Time
Very
flies
but
when you're having fun.
really, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having
We
me.
wanted to have a smooth chat and figure out some of your storylines about it. And I'm actually, when people told me chronic disease is very knowledgeable, when I did the poll, truly not a lot of people. I know around at least 25 people didn't know what it is.
Wow. I actually didn't know you did a poll. That's interesting to know. Like,
I really did, because I really wanted to know if actually people know what a chronic disease is, and I personally didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew what a chronic disease is 6 months ago, but I
Wow.
didn't. Yeah, really. Like, I lived my whole life and I didn't even understand, because you don't pay attention to everything in the world, and that you don't pay attention towards biology, towards technology. Everyone within his own interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's actually the point of having these things in the podcast, because we want to share everyone's experience, everyone's knowledge, even if it's in a very humoristic kind of form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We try to avoid the mainstream kind of conversations, because if you do, then you're basically throwing back yourself, like you said, in the same box of a mainstream kind of channel or something like that. But it's all about just sharing the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And
100%.
sharing the daily stuff that happens, and also the weekly stuff that happens,
Yeah.
from Kanye West, hanging around Trump to Will Smith and stuff like that. Anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Listen to Will Smith's
Yeah, listen. There
No, I'm joking. Listen to iHeart Doha podcast.
you
I
go.
said Doha.
This is Ed Bradley with 60 Minutes, and until we see you again. Thank you so much. See you next week.